Johnny Bedford here, Fitness Fight Factory, Be Quick Jiu-Jitsu black belt with Jordan Villanova, Be Quick Jiu-Jitsu purple belt. Talking about some wrestling concepts today. I'm going to go over a couple different options with the double leg. I think the biggest problem here with double legs is the head outside, worrying about that guillotine. A lot of wrestlers, they understand the concepts of taking people down, obviously, but they leave their neck exposed. So we're going to talk about that for a second. Obviously, good stance is always first and foremost. We're out here moving around, I would want to be, I'm going to be able to penetrate. There's going to be a couple steps here to shoot a proper double leg or any really shot at all. There's a couple steps here. I want to always get lower, so I level change, then I penetrate, and then I actually take my shot. I wouldn't want to just shoot from here without getting lower than him, and certainly not without getting closer to him. Good rule of thumb is if there's an invisible line, I want my knee to go through that line. As my knee hits the mat, my shoulder hits his belly, right? So we're moving him around, we're here wrestling. I'm going to level change, I penetrate, I get closer to him, and I drop this double leg. Here's the concept we're talking about, that if I just leave my head down, I'm susceptible to all these guillotines and all kinds of bad things can happen to me. I want to keep my head real high here, and a really good rule of thumb is I want to keep my rear end underneath my head. If my head's out in front of my butt, he's able to sprawl on me, and then I get my eating the mat, right? So I always want to try to keep my hips in. I think that's the hardest part for beginners to understand, is that they shoot and they kind of get here with their head out in front of the rear end and they get sprawled on and get smashed and bad things happen to them. I want to keep my hips and my rear end underneath my head. But again, we're in here, I get lower, I shoot, I get lower, I penetrate, and I shoot this double leg. As my shoulder hits, my hands are wrapping around his leg, and my head's real tall here. What I'm going to do from here is I'm going to use that head, use that right foot that's up here approaching, and I'm going to run through him that direction. I'm going to look behind his back and run. Now the concept here, so I don't end up in his guard and have to worry about any of those chokes and stuff, is I'm going to try to pass to the opposite side of my head. I'm going to land all my weight on my left shoulder, and I'm going to hop up and over using my left hand to block his leg so there's no guard. As I run on my feet, I'm going to land on my hips, and I pass his guard. I'm not flipping here and creating scrambles. I'm going up and over, and I still land belly down. Checking his guard retention, I control his hips, and I climb up into the side control. If this guy did have some sort of a guillotine on me, there's no fear for me, because if I pass to the opposite side of my head, there's no choke for him, right? If I was able to run, I hop up and over and I get over here, even if he was trying to choke me as hard as he could, there's nothing here. And it leads to all kinds of offense for me. There's flute chokes, there's Kimura games, there's arm triangles and all that stuff. We're not really talking about. But again, the biggest concept for beginners is never getting that base broken here where my head's out in front of my rear end. So again, we're wrestling, I get lower, I penetrate, I shoot my double, my head stays high, and I'm going to use this drive leg and I use my head to run by him. Again, I'm trying to beat the far side leg so my left hand will block his knee, not allow his leg to come up over my back and lock up any side of the guard. So I push, I drive and I pass. And poor Jordan here just felt 500 pounds landing on him. All my weight is on my shoulder, in his stomach, in his or in his chest here, and I control the position. I come up and I get my side control and I get my 2 points. One last little detail here. Another way is that if you're afraid of maybe that guillotine attack, is don't ever give him your head. And the old Jordan Burroughs special, for example, is just the blast double. You gotta have a pretty strong neck and not be afraid of this, but again, the same concepts are the same. I would level change and I would penetrate. For the blast double, I'm not gonna hit my knee. I'm just literally gonna tap behind his legs and I'm gonna run right through him. But again, I'm not putting my head down. I kind of put my face and my forehead right in his chest, and I just run through him, and I end up on top. Now, I'm inside the guard, but it's still a 2-point takedown. I'm able to posture and score my points. One more time on that. I'm moving around. We're wrestling, we're engaging. Level change, penetrate. The penetration, even though I'm not hitting my knee, is still very important, so I step in there, I get closer to him. I level change, my face and forehead goes in his chest as I attack his knees, and I'm literally, just so he can't backstab, I block these, and I run right through him. And I end up on top.